Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakudash. Of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who through the Holy Spirit continue, to push this truth. Salutations to the fellow Akim out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth in all honesty and sincerity while trying to wake up the remaining hopefully elect. This is Naaman with the DC camp. And once again, this is an article by Charles Stallworth, he's a union railroad worker, and it's from Newsweek, in their opinion section. It says, the elites have stopped hiding their hatred of the working class. They've always had it. They were just able to hide it more. Now that things are coming to a head, so to speak, and it's a total breakdown, and they sense that they're losing that power. Because let's face it, a big part of that power was secrecy, and they don't have that anymore. So let's hear this real quick. Let's see. I know I got the time. Hold on.
The hell is happening? Where are these people coming from?
Let's start it out. Hold on.
These were people that were great Americans.
Start it over. Salakia. Here we go.
People came from the mountains and the valleys and the rivers and the oceans. They came from all over. The Democrats said, what the hell is happening? Where are these people coming from? These were people that were great Americans, worked hard, made a lot of money, much smarter. They call them the elite. We're the elite. We're the elite. I know this. Speaking for myself, I went to better schools than they did. I have nicer houses than they do. I have nicer apartments. I have nicer everything. And they're elite. But we're not elite. You people work your asses off. You're making a lot of money. You're smarter than they are. You're smarter than they are.
And of course, he's buttering them up. It's all horse shit at the end of the day. But, and certain people eat it up. But the fact remains, like this article is going to... I'm trying to shut this off, Salakia. God dang it. All right, well, there we go. Okay. So as this article is going to get into, and this is all code, as you're going to find out, for a certain group of people. Because I remember growing up, you had Jakes that had good factory jobs, people like, a lot of Jakes moved from the south to the north, in particular cities, because of the factories, Detroit is an example. There are other cities, you say Pittsburgh, working the steel mills in Pittsburgh and other areas, they were good careers, but we couldn't have that. And this is going to go into why. Last week, a shocking moment of truth broke through the huge effort elites normally put into hiding their disdain for the rest of us. At an event sponsored by the Libertarian Cato Institute, president of the Peterson Institute for International Economics, Adam Posem, a man who appears to be paid $450,000 a year, made clear his absolute contempt for the working class. In a quote, the fetish for manufacturing is part of the general fetish for keeping white males of low education outside the cities and the powerful positions they are in the U.S. Have you ever wondered, and I'm sure you had heard at some time in your life, where you could have an Edomite, a so-called white young male that's got a better job than a Jake that went to college? This is what it's getting into. He goes on to say, as proof, Posen argued that no one cared when recessions hurt black Americans. And that's always been the case. No one gives a fuck. You got to understand, when you go throughout the history, particularly in America, even I'm thinking about the fucking building of the Panama Canal. I shit you not. When you go into that in the history, you will find out this is outside of America. Now, you had Jakes that, came from the South. They worked down there and they still got fucked over because the so-called Southern whites continue to fuck with them. Yes, I shit you not. Look it up. So this is why we try to tell our people, doesn't matter. All right, just because you got your nice house, and you got to understand, this is until we are all out of this motherfucker and free from this and got this motherfucker's foot off of our neck. That's the only way. All right. We're looking for that tide to lift all boats, not just one, two, all right, or a few that they decide to prop up to make it seem as if this so-called democracy works. Because up until that point, that's been the case. We get a few, happy Negroes, make it seem like this shit works. All right. That's why we tell you when we bring up scriptures like Micah 2:10, even though that's talking about physical, but there's a mental and spiritual aspect to that, where you want to get your mind off this motherfucker. I'm talking about the ways of America. All right, the ways of Edomite, period. All right, because this is a godless, people. Let's get that real quick. This is a godless people, and you gotta understand they're being set up. I will go to Psalms. These motherfuckers were set up. This is Psalm 17. Let me go to another because I want to get, I don't know, my version of Blue Letter doesn't have the headings. That's why I personally use this one. E-Sword. All right, let's see, 17. And it goes, in the shadow of your wings. This is the Most High, where, this is King David, he's praying for that protection. And it goes on to say, verse 13, Psalm 17:13, arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him. Cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And this is what the so-called white man has been set up for. All right. All right. 14, for men which are thy hand, O Most High Yahweh, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life. That certainly is not us. And whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. Who is that talking to? We don't have an inheritance to give to our children. This is when you read Psalm 73. All right, it's talking about the wicked. It's talking about Esau, Edom. All right, now when we go to, let's stay in Psalms. I always bring this one up because this is who you're dealing with. These are the people that our people are marching up and down the street, all right, asking for mercy. And I always say that if I was an alien, you want to use that, and I came to this world and I'm like, my goodness, and I'm observing the situation, and I'm like, first of all, do you realize that these people hate you? Talking about Jake, you're talking about these Edomites, these so-called white people, and the shit. And that reminds me, I was watching the brother that out of Houston, Phil, what's his last name? He had this South African Edomite spilling the beans, Psalm 64:8, spilling the beans, talking about how, a lot of the leaders, and this applies to Jake over here, have sold their own people out because they're like, they've resigned to what they consider is, might is right. And you think about Wisdom of Solomon, 2nd chapter, and they've subscribed to that. Jeremiah 14:2, the gates, our leaders, they've languished. Zechariah 11:5, they don't give a fuck. They sold out. They're in it to get theirs. All right. This is Psalms 43:1. The heading here says, send out your light and your truth. It says, judge me, O Most High Yahweh, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. When we go out there on the highways and byways trying to tell our people, let our people know First of all, who they are, who their true God, their true power is, and his son, you have to go through. And that's Yahweh Shai. He's the Savior. He's the deliverer. All right? Because what he did for us, shed his blood for our people and our people only. You go to Matthew 1 and 21. That's what he came on earth to do. Acts, second chapter. You know, all these, you know, it's so many. The amount of deception that, and just outright lies, let's just give it the what it's due, just outright lies. And this is how they maintain their power, all right, through rape, robbery, deceit, lies. What I'm reading here, this is what we need protection from. Read it again, Psalms 43 and 1. This is who our people foolishly, all right, go to in order for some type of relief. Judge me, O Most High Yahweh, and plead my cause against an ungodly nation. O deliver me from the deceitful and unjust man. How do we know that they're the wicked? Let's go to Malachi 1, because what you're dealing with is an Edomite. And if you remember the story of Jacob and Esau in Genesis 25, this is who you're dealing with. The Lord's love for Israel. Does it say anybody else? No. The burden of the word of the Most High Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. 2. I have loved you, saith the Most High Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Most High Yahweh? Yet I loved Jacob, whose name was changed, of course, after he wrestled the angel and got that blessing, was changed to Israel. 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Go to Genesis 25th chapter to get the beginning of that story. Verse 4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. You look at all these cities now, and the level of gentrification, especially I'm here in D.C. Oh my goodness. I was just talking to a lady a couple of days ago. It had been years since I'd been over there in by the Navy Yard, you know, and the way it is now, I didn't even recognize it. All the high rises that they built over there, aside from the stadium, because that's what they did it for. And they just pushed Jake out. And let's be honest, Jake, what were they doing before then? They fell prey to what these devils were doing, flooding the neighborhoods with drugs. And Jake took the bait, which is a classic old scheme, which in turn lowered the property value. You got to understand, this was all planned in advance. These motherfuckers think in decades prior, all right? So they knew, wasn't nobody investing in our neighborhoods. Look at all the shit you had to do or go through in order to just get a decent store, all right? So all they do is play the weight game, play the long game, all right, which is the weight game. And sure enough, and now you got so many motherfucking Edomites walking their dogs and jogging. It's the same thing that's happening in other cities, you know, Harlem, classic, you know, the so-called Black Renaissance or whatever they call it, you know, Harlem Renaissance, you know, same thing's happening up there. That's that clue. Someone's making a joke, but it's true. As soon as you see Starbucks move in, there you go. Let's read this again. Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. Wherever these Edomites, these so-called white people, set up, sooner or later, what's the big thing now? You're going to have all kinds of, they're going to change the rules, the laws in their favor. Now you got all this LGBTQ and whatever else trying to get pedophile added to that. You got these Skittles people, what we call them, all right, and they're pushing this shit hard. I was watching them. It's on now. NTD, Epic Times, right-wing leading news channel. And they had this town hall. I forget where it was now. But they're trying to get these books, these LTGB, whatever the fuck. The Skittles people are trying to get these books. And, you know, and then they made the point. And they were just, oh man, they mostly had Muslims in there, believe it or not. You know, but they made a good point in that here it is, you got children, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, whatever have you, some younger, and you want them to try to decide whether or not, you know, this is some satanic, just outright evil shit. All right? And it's so much apathy. All right, because of the programming through various social media, you know, your average TV. That's why it's called programming. And the amount of apathy. Well, let's get that definition there. Because a lot of people, oh, apathy, baby. What do you mean by apathy? All right, in short, it's a don't give a fuck attitude. But, whoops. All right, apathy. It says, as a noun, a lack of interest or concern, especially regarding matters of general importance or appeal, indifference, a lack of emotion or feeling. Everybody's got their face in their phones. You're on the subway, you're on public transportation, blah, 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 blah. You know. It says 3, want of feeling, absence or suppression of passion, emotion, or excitement, insensibility, indifference again. All right. That's what you have. As long as you don't. What was Jake very good at saying back in the day about that gay shit? Well, as long as it don't come my way, you know. And look now, that's exactly what they wanted. It's exactly what they wanted. Let's go back to the article. All right. So he's telling you here, no one cared when recessions hurt black Americans or anything else when it comes to us. Nobody gives a fuck. That's scripture. That's Jeremiah 15:5. Don't believe me? Remember, Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So let's go to Jeremiah 15:5. Now let's go to the heading here. It says, the Lord will not relent. Verse 5, it says, for who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? And why? Why are these things happening? You say, well, I go to school, I get my degree, I work my ass off and do all this, and then, no, because it goes way beyond that. This is a spiritual thing. This is verse 6. Thou hast forsaken me, saith the Most High Yahweh. Thou art gone backward. Therefore will I stretch out my hand against thee and destroy thee. I am weary with repenting, because Jake kept doing the same fucking thing over. The one book in the Bible alone, Judges, is a prime example of how hard-headed and just stubborn Jake is. All right, you don't want to do right. You're kept, you know, per Deuteronomy 4th chapter, let's go there first, and then 7th chapter, these are things that were supposed to happen. Moses commands obedience to who? The Most High. This is verse 1. Now therefore hearken. Let's look at that word, hearken. That is Strong's H8085, to hear intelligently. All right, often with implication of attention, obedience. All right, so let's go back. Hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live. And what have we been doing? The contrary, right? Because we haven't done what it's talking about here. We have these laws, statutes, and commandments This is our book. Yes, it was used against us. Yes, to the point where a lot of Jakes have become atheists. How about that? You didn't used to hear that, especially openly. And go in and possess the land. It says, let me read it all over again. Now therefore, hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which the Most High Yahweh, the power of your fathers, giveth you, not everyone else. 2, ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Most High Yahweh, your power, which I command you. All right. It says, your eyes have seen what the Most High did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, the Most High Yahweh thy power hath destroyed them from among you. But ye that did cleave unto the Most High, your power, are alive, every one of you, this day. Now here's the point. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgment, even as the Most High Yahweh, my power, commanded me. This is Moses speaking, remember, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. All right. 6, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. So we were supposed to be an example to the rest of the world. But what did we do? It says, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So what did we do? When you go to when you go to chapter 7, we were commanded to do certain things and not to do certain things, okay? It says, a chosen people. When the Most High Yahweh thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites, these are Hamites, so-called, what they call Africans now, and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Most High thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. What do our women do now? They can't wait, all right, to do better than us. You got to understand what I just read to you, what we did to the Most High and turning our backs to him. This is why our women act the way they do towards us. All right. Verse 4, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Most High Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. 5, but thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. But what does Jake do? We can all get along. No, you weren't supposed to do that. 6, here's the point. For thou art an holy people. All right, let's go break down that holy. Let's see. All right. Strong's H6918. Quadash, sacred. Ceremonially or morally, all right, a sanctuary. It also means separate, all right. So we're supposed to be, deal with people at a distance, but we keep our laws, the law, statutes, and commandments of our God, the Most High, all right. That's what we're supposed to do. Not get in everybody else's and follow, and that's what Jake did. You go to Jeremiah 2, it breaks that down. What are my people guilty of? What 2 things? It says, hold on, let me get that real quick. All right, just trying to make a point here. Jeremiah, whoops, what did I do that for? Jeremiah 2, I think is 11. He said, hath a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. And I'm going to skip down to 13. It says, for my people have committed 2 evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewed them out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. Is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave? Why is he spoiled? All right. These is telling you this is why we are like this. That's rhetorical. It's telling you this is why we're like this, because we pay attention to all these other heathen nations. All right? This is why these things are happening. Continuing on, it says, Posen's words reveal more than he probably wanted to, like the elitist sentiment of wanting people with less education to have less power, or the way rich elites ponder to black Americans by mentioning them to shut down conversations about class disparities, or the ignorant and racist view that black Americans don't work in manufacturing. See, all this is being done to limit, all right, your power, our power. You gotta understand, that was the objective of that civil rights bullshit. All right, and ever since then, we've been weakened because what? This thing called diversity is actually our enemy. All right, and that goes to curses. It tells you in Deuteronomy 28, and I believe it is 43, about the stranger. And that's talking about these immigrants and all these foreigners coming in. They get above us. That's what it's talking about. Continuing on here, it says, but maybe even worse than the social justice racism was that Posen admitted that manufacturing provides people without a college degree with good jobs, which in turn provide them with political power. What did the absence of this do with us? We don't have any power. You notice every other demographic, what I just told you about about the curses, everybody comes in, they use our platform to springboard off of. It's so fucking sad. I mean, it really is. And though his woke racism may prevent him from realizing it, bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. would provide jobs and business opportunities to every demographic, not just white males. Why would Posen erase working class black men or working class women from what would be the benefits of reshoring manufacturing? It gets the left-wing equity crowd on board with the kind of stupidity involved in opposing bringing back manufacturing. And why would someone oppose bringing back manufacturing? Well, who could possibly want to help white males with low education, as Posen called them? Posen is not the only one to show how wokeness and elitism go hand in hand, enabling a member of the overeducated elite, God dang, like Posen to arrive at the fantasy that white men without a college degree somehow have their hands on the levers of power, such that anyone could be involved in keeping them there. All right. After all, this is what this is all about. The so-called white male. That's what it's always been about. All right. Remember, according to him, there's only one man, and that's him. Everybody else is a boy, especially Jake. And it is a fantasy, he goes on to say, those of us in the low-educated working class are not in control of anything you see going on in the world, and we're not. The highly educated are running everything, something they are well aware of. Whether it's in politics or the media or the wealthy or the professional managerial class, the power centers of America are made up of people with degrees, lots of them. They are terrified of the political power of people like me. Of course, to us, it's hard to imagine things being worse than they are. You have to be pretty wealthy to believe that were we to have some of our modest political desires put into practice, America would combust. The worst part about it is that returning manufacturing to the U.S. would help innumerable black Americans. There we go. There we go. Because it would help everyone, and that's something that we've... If for those of you that don't know who I'm about to mention, Dr. Claude Anderson, he did, back in the 90s, he had this thing called Powernomics. All right, he wrote a book called Black Labor, White Wealth, and I've got two of his books having to do with... let's see, No, I don't have it available right now where I can get right to it. But these certain facts about slavery that a lot of people aren't aware of. He wrote two books. I can't remember the title right off the hand. It's a lengthy title. But anyway, yeah. So he always said that, you know, uh, that part I mentioned about the civil rights era. He goes into it. This is recently. He did an interview. I forget who it was with, but he broke it all down. You know, King, people like that were set up. You know, uh, and look where we're at now. It's no accident. We're the only ones that are not moving anywhere. We're just treading water. And in one of his books, I was telling you about slavery, he mentioned that ever since from 1865, or was it 1861? Wait a minute. I'm just going to say the end of the Civil War. Until 1990, we did not, we were, we held a certain percentage, which is like 0.01% of America's wealth, and it didn't change up until 1990. We've just been treading water. That is so fucking sad. But we're so used to seeing a pro basketball player and entertainer that's making, what we consider a lot of money, and trying to live through them. We don't see the big picture. All right, it says the fact that manufacturing jobs in the country have been declining should be at the front of everyone's minds. The fact that major corporations have exported a large amount of their manufacturing to China and displaced Americans from those jobs is something that is having a profound effect on many of my fellow blue-collar workers who I have spoken to. Many towns that had manufacturing jobs, this is what I mentioned at the onset, many towns that had manufacturing jobs outsourced to China or Mexico are now a shadow of their former selves. Remember, Clinton signed that. What was that? Our people talking about he's the first black president. Our people are so fucking stupid. It's almost physically painful. All right. It says, and many of those towns struggle with record levels of drugs and poverty among those who have been left behind. And you can't see that this is by design. You gotta understand, we are the enemy. The elites know who we are, that we are the real Israelites, and they know that they can keep us oppressed, that they can continue to rule this shitty ass fucking place. All right. It turns out that when the jobs leave and people lose their livelihoods, they tend to lose their sense of meaning. Despair sets in, and down the rabbit hole of addiction many people go, in particular our people. But now that's backfired. Now you've seen with this opioid thing the last, I don't know how many years. All right. Suddenly now they want to pay attention. I wonder why. Men without a college degree are leading the nation in deaths of despair. But elites like Posen only see powerful positions. But manufacturing doesn't just benefit the person who gets a job. It has a ripple effect across a community because it provides business opportunities to all the ancillary aspects of manufacturing. Someone has to be able to fix the machines. Someone has to feed the workers. Someone has to build their homes. Manufacturing is a tide that lifts many boats. That's the point. That's why this was done. It's all connected. They know this. Bottom line, you should be praying for this motherfucking bitch to implode. All right, because the damage has been done. It's irreversible. All right. You've got to pray for better things. You don't want to be, and a lot of jakes who do this, they want to keep massa in power so they can just get a job. A lot of our people, 2/3 have got to go. This is the reason. All right. They have got to go. Anyone that wants to stay in a trap, in a pit, in a system such as this, there's no reason you should want to live around them. There's no reason you should want them to live, period. Hey, so with that, once again, this has been on this colossal game that's been played. Let's Listen to the little of this, his own words, this guy named Posen. Then I'll close out.
I'm sure I'm going to piss off both of us on the left and right, so I apologize. That the fetish for manufacturing is part of the general fetish for keeping white males without education outside the cities in powerful positions throughout the Americas. And that is really what's going on here. Because when you look at the costs of manufacturing, and Susan Husband and her co-authors of Model Manufacturing of Trade, and child displacement and communities, Susan Husband and her co-authors who didn't work on this, I'm sure she'll have a different view than I do. But when I look at the so-called costs of the China shock or the costs of the decline in manufacturing, I always think compared to what? For decades, there was enormous displacement of African Americans in this economy. Every time there was a recession, African American unemployment rates shot up much faster and higher.
Mm-hmm.
Single women were methodically excluded from the workforce, especially if they became parents, would get out in particular sorts of jobs throughout the economy well through the 70s and 70s. Displacement on large scales would happen when technology and trade broke through, like all the secretaries who got placed on personal computers and other forms of office automation.
Which brings up the point, technology has never been Jake's friend. You go back to even with the elevator operators. Coincidentally, when you think about the Tulsa race riots, that's how that started. Supposedly. The elevator operator. All right? What happened? They became automated.
And these kinds of churn, as the economists put it, never were decried. They never got political attention. They never got much notice. But when it started being the white male manufacturing people in the so-called heartland, which by definition is not urban, then suddenly this was a crisis.
Yep. Because it affected them. Classic. Classic. Let's see, we got a few replies here. I can't think of a better recipe for inducing racial tension. This whole place has always been about that. Than having DC elites financed by Wall Street pushing offshoring and then saying that everyone who opposes having their community and livelihood destroyed is racist. This, again from Matt Stoll, this is such an important point. Being able to make things is essential for society to survive. Much of the political world has moved on from the contempt for manufacturing, which is why oppose and attack both Biden and Trump. But these ideas are so bad. Let's see. I hate these people. Someone replied, every decent person does. All right. And of course, you have a few here that are arguing against each other. The extremity of the argument only shows how marginal their position is now. Basic U.S. view of trade policy has become protectionism. Says it was GOP policy until Trump. All right. That's it. Someone says he's Jewish. He's not white, he's Jewish. Well, yeah, he's an Edomite. It doesn't matter. Alright? And look at these fuckers who are behind it all. Yeah, I mean, that's it. The same old games are being played, and it's tired. I know I am. You know, this place got to go. Ready for the kingdom, you know. Hey, so with that, once again, this has been the elites have stopped hiding their hatred of the working class, which they've always had. All right, that shouldn't be a shocker there. And this guy here, Charles Stallworth, you know, and you heard the guy there, Mr. Posen, you know, that Psalm 64 and 8, they telling on themselves. All right, it's all coming out. So with that, hey, till the next video, shalom.